sprite sheets. If we take a look at any of these sprite sheets as I click here online, um, you can see that there are a series of images where something changes about the character or about the item that's in here. Um, what we're going to do is put them all on one page and create our own sprite sheet so that we can create animation and movement within Adobe Animate and make things a little easier whilst using Photoshop. Here's how we're going to do it. We'll explain it a little more in detail in class, but to get started, you are going to take a series of images. These images are going to be on the blue backgrounds to make things a little bit easier to cut out. You can see here Naya has done quite a number of them, but you only need about 10 to get going. And you're going to right-click them and open them with Photoshop. The first part of this project is going to be in Photoshop. So part 1 in Photoshop, open up your 10 images in Photoshop like I have here on the side. Then you're going to go to File and New to create your brand new sprite sheet. This might take a moment or two to come up. Just allow it to come up. Okay, once it does, what we want to be able to do is do a letter size page at 300 is fine. We hit create, and then on there I am going to go to view, show, grid. Now I want to make these grids a little bit wider, so just making sure everything's set up. Then you can go to File, Photoshop, Preferences, Guides and Grids and Slices. We're just going to change the way this grid is set up. So if you go to Guides, Grids, and Slices here, you see there's a grid line every 1 inch, subdivisions every 4. So you can see the difference here. If I did it every 3 inches and I hit OK, you see how it's expanded a bit, right? So you got to kind of play around with it until you get what we want. In this case is enough room. I'm going to do 4. No, do 1 every 5. No, 1 every 2. That's about right. That's right, 4. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to do grid line every 2 inches, subdivisions 4. That's inside guides, grids, and slices. Hit OK. And you'll see the box pop up like this. What we want to do is now go into these photos of Naya. We want to take the Move tool, select the Move tool, take her, click, drag, hold, and drop her onto this new page. Obviously, she's quite a bit larger than what these boxes look like. I'm talking about the dark black line box, not the thin little ones in between. And so what we do is we brought this one in, we go back to the original, we close it out. You can do Command W to close it. Then you grab the next one, click, hold, drag, drop, hold Shift, drag it in, drop it. Go back to the original, close it. So you're going to do that for each one of them. Click, drag, drop, go back, close the original. Click, drag, drop, close the original. You notice in this one the colors changed a little bit. Whoever took the photos took them with some of them with a flash, some of them without a flash. So you got to make sure you're consistent, either all with no flash or all with a flash. This way they'll all look exactly the same. So in total, I'm bringing over 10 pieces. Okay, there they are. So in total, I brought them into this new document. You can see I have 10 images. I'm going to click the top layer, then hold Shift, click the bottom layer. Now what I want to do is free transform. Edit, free transform. We're going to make them smaller. I can't see the outside box, so I'm going to go to View and Fit on Screen. Command 0. There I can see the box. I'm going to hold Shift and Option and pull from the corner of the box. And I'm going to make them smaller. I'm going to pull and drag them so they're in one of these boxes here. Alright, then I'm going to hold Shift and kind of pull down so it touches the box, just so the edges touch. Now it's not going to be as wide as the box, that's okay. Kind of pull to the edge just like that. And then I'm going to hit the OK button up top or hit Enter on your keyboard. It's going to transform all 10 layers at the same time. Okay, at this point, what you're going to do now is move the individual ones, take the move tool, go to layer 10 for example, and you're going to move this to wherever it's supposed to be. Now 10 is actually supposed to be the first thing that happens, right? So let's keep 10 here. Let's go to 1 and pull 1 out. Let's go to 2, layer 2, let's pull 2 out. Layer 3, same steps over and over. Layer 4, we're working in reverse here a little bit. Layer 5, layer 6, layer 7, layer 8, layer 9, and layer 10. So, it doesn't really matter where the sprite sheet begins. I could bring all of these at the same time up a little bit by holding all the layers together at the same time. I could start these in the corner over here if it makes me happy, to do so. I could totally do that. That's fine. And just keep them in order. This way you remember kind of what the order was, the sequence of how that pose was supposed to go. All right. Okay, so you set it up like that. Now, the next step is to go into one layer at a time, go into the layer, zoom in, real tight like this, and you're going to get rid of the blue that's around. So you're gonna have to do some selection work. You can do quick mask, magic wand, you can do magnetic lasso, polygon, whatever you think is the best case you're going to try and use to select your person out, or yourself in this case. And once you've done your selection, obviously these aren't the best selections here, I'm going to do it very, very quickly, but you're going to want all the good detail. If there's any pieces hanging off, like she has these strings hanging off, make sure you get those strings, make sure you get your feet, make sure that you subtract out any parts that you do not want. Alright, and then go back into them, go along the edge, and get really good cutouts. You need good cutouts for this, guys. Any of these other tools, lasso, polygano, you can add or subtract. So I could subtract out, just give you an example here, I could subtract out and stay right on the edge, right? And subtract out these pieces so it's nice and tight. You want to continue doing that throughout the entire thing so you get a nice cutout and you don't leave anything out. Now once you've done that, here's what you're going to do. You're going to right click her. She's on layer 10, for example. I'm going to right click her once I have the selection good. I'm going to layer via cut her. She is now going to appear on layer 11. Layer 10 is her background. So if I hide the eyeball, you see her background disappears. We can actually get rid of her background now. I'm just going to take that layer and throw it out in the trash or hit delete. And now that's gone. You're going to do the same thing for each layer. Get rid of the background. Make a nice cutout for each one. Once you're done with that, you should have a finished sprite sheet that looks something like this. Alright, this is not a totally finished one. Obviously, this is only 6 poses, but you get the idea. At the bottom here, I hid the white background, and I saved it. That's part 1, where you're making your sprite sheet in Photoshop. You save it to your folder, name it with your name, sprite.psd. That's in Photoshop, that's part 1. And then you're going to move on to part 2.